Hello students, your topic for today is salient features of Indian Constitution. Feature is written and detailed constitution. So the constitution is a wholly written document which incorporates the constitutional law of India. It was fully debated and duly enacted by the Constituent Assembly of India. It took the assembly 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days to write and enact the constitution. So the Indian constitution is very detailed constitution. It consists of 395 articles divided into 22 parts with 12 schedules and 94 constitutional amendments. It is a constitution of both the center and the state of India Union. It are indeed much bigger than the US Constitution, which has only 7 articles, and the French Constitution with its 89 articles. The second salient feature of the Constitution is the preamble of the Constitution. So, the preamble of the Constitution of India is a well drafted document which states the philosophy of the Constitution. It declares India to be a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and a welfare state committed to secure justice, liberty, and equality for the people and for promoting fraternity, dignity, the individual, and unity and integrity of the nation. The preamble is the key to the constitution. It states in nutshell the nature of Indian state and the objectives it is committed to secure for the people. This next is India is a democratic socialist state. So, although right from the beginning the Indian constitution fully reflected the spirit of democratic socialism, it was only in 1976 that the preamble was amended to include the term socialism. It is now regarded as a prime feature of Indian state. India is committed to secure social, economic, and political justice for its entire people by ending all forms of exploitation and by securing equitable distribution of income, resources, and wealth. This is to be secured by peaceful constitutional and democratic means. Now, the next feature is that India is a secular state. So, India gives a special status to no religion. There is no such thing as a state religion of India. This makes it different from the theocratic states like Islamic Republic of Pakistan or other Islamic countries. Further, the Indian secularism guarantees equal freedom of all religions. The constitution grants the right to religious freedom to all the citizens. The next feature is that India is a democratic state. So, the Constitution of India provides for a democratic system. The authority of the government rests upon the sovereignty of the people. The people enjoy equal political rights. On the basis of these rights, the people freely participate in the process of politics. They elect their government. There is a right to vote. There is a free, fair, and regular elections held for electing governments. For all these activities, the government of India is responsible before the people. The people can change their government through elections. No government can remain in power which does not enjoy the confidence of the people. So, India is the world's largest working democracy. India is republic. So the preamble declares India to be republic. India is not ruled by a monarch or a nominated head of state. India has an elected head of state who wields power for a fixed term of 5 years. After every 5 years, the people of India indirectly elected their president. So India is also a union of states. So Article 1 of the Constitution declares that India, that is Bharat, is a union of states. The term union of states have two important facts. First, that Indian union is not the result of voluntary agreement among sovereign states, and second, the states of India do not enjoy the right to secede from the union. Indian union has now 28 states and 7 union territories. mixture of federalism and unitarianism. While describing India as a union of states, the constitution provides for a federal structure with a unitary spirit. Scholars describe India as a quasi federation or as a federation with a unitary bias or even a Unitarian federation. So, like a federation, the Constitution of India provides for a division of power between the center and the states, a written, rigid, and supreme constitution, independent judiciary with the power to decide center state disputes, and dual administration, that is, central and state administrations. However, by providing a very strong center and common constitution, single citizenship, emergency provisions, common election commission, common all India services, etc. The constitution clears that it reflects unitary spirit also. So India is a federation with some unitarian features. Both federalism and unitarianism exist. This mixture of federalism and unitarianism has been done keeping in view both the pluralistic nature of the society and the presence of regional diversities that are there in India, as well as due to the need for securing unity and integrity of the nation. Mixture of rigidity and flexibility. So the Constitution of India is rigid in parts. Some of its provisions can be amended in a difficult way, while others can be amended very easily. In some cases, the Union Parliament can amend some parts of the Constitution by passing a simple law. So, Article 368, the Constitution provides for two special methods of amendment. First, most of the provisions of the Constitution can be amended by the Union Parliament by passing an amendment bill by a majority of total membership and two-third majority of members present and voting in each of its houses. For the amendment, second, for the amendment of some specified parts, a very rigid method has been provided. Under it, first the Union Parliament passes the amendment bill by a majority of total membership and two-third majority of members present and voting in each house, and then it goes to the state legislatures for ratification. So the amendment gets passed only when it is approved by not less than one half of the several states of the union. Thus, the Constitution of India is partially rigid and partially flexible. Bicameral Union Parliament. So, the Constitution provides for a bicameral legislature at the union level and names it as the Union Parliament. It has two houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So, the Lok Sabha is the lower, popular, directly elected house of the Parliament. It represents the people of India. The maximum strength stands fixed at 550. Presently, Lok Sabha has 545 members. The people of each state elect representatives in proportion to their population. Orissa has 21 seats, out of which some seats are reserved for the people belonging to SCs and ST. So the members of the Lok Sabha are directly elected by the people of India. All men and women of 18 years or above of age whose names are registered in the voters list vote in elections for electing the members of Lok Sabha. Every voter of 25 years or above of age is eligible to contest elections to the Lok Sabha. The tenure of the Lok Sabha is 5 years, but the president acting under the advice of Prime Minister can dissolve it earlier also. The Rajya Sabha is the upper and the indirectly elected second house of parliament. It represents the states of Indian Union. Its maximum membership can be 250. Presently, the Rajya Sabha has 245 members. Out of these, 233 members are elected by all the state legislative assemblies, and 12 are nominated by the president from among the eminent persons from the fields of art, science, and literature. Rajya Sabha is a quasi permanent house. Its one-third members retire after every 2 years. Each member has a tenure of 6 years. Orissa has 10 seats in Rajya Sabha. So, the two houses of parliament, the Lok Sabha is more powerful house. It alone has financial powers. The Union Council of Ministers is collectively responsible before the Lok Sabha. However, the Rajya Sabha is neither as powerless as the British House of Lords and nor the Lok Sabha is powerful as the British House of Commons. The second last feature is parliamentary system. So the Constitution of India provides for a parliamentary system of government at the center as well as in every state of the union. The President of India is the constitutional head of the state with nominal powers. The Union Council of Ministers, headed by the Prime Minister, is the real executive. So the ministers are essentially the members of the Union Parliament. For all its policies and decisions, the Council of Ministers is collectively responsible before the Lok Sabha. The Lok Sabha can remove the ministry by passing a vote of no confidence. The cabinet, in fact, the Prime Minister has the power to get the Lok Sabha dissolved by the President. On similar lines, a parliamentary government is also at work in each state. The last is single integrated state with a single citizenship. So India is this single independent and sovereign integrated state. Presently, it has 28 states and 7 union territories. All citizens enjoy a common uniform citizenship. They are entitled to equal rights and freedom and equal protection of the state. That's all. Thank you.